Great morning. Great morning. You guys come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Great morning, Kim. How are you? Hey, Artesia. Good morning. Good morning. Come on in, you guys. Come on in. You guys share this broadcast. God, I don't know all that he's doing, but I know that he has had me up since 6 o'clock this morning, and he gave me some specific instructions. So I want to make sure that I follow those instructions and do what it is that he's told me to do. Good morning. I know that's right, Kim. Stay woke, girl. Stay woke. All right. So let me know who's here and where you're tuning in from. Let me know who's here and where you're tuning in from. I know you guys haven't seen me a lot lately. And we'll talk about that. But there's some things that I know that God is saying that we need to hear in this hour, like right now in this time. So I definitely want you guys to share. Hey, sissy, my sissy's on. My sissy's on. Hey, sissy. So I'm not going to belabor it. I'm not going to be on super long because I've got to get to school. But I did want to come on and let you guys know some things. Hey, Danielle, how are you, beautiful? Listen, you guys. So one of the things that God has really been dealing with me on is our healing. And the interesting thing about healing is a process. It is a journey. It is not a destination, right? We say we are healed. We are healed because we are healed in him, right? The healing has already taken place, but there are these processes that we go through. I like to liken it to the healing experience by the lepers, right? So the lepers came and, Jesus says, you're healed, go show yourself to the priest. So they're walking to go show themselves to the priest. And as they're walking to go show themselves to the priest, like immediately all their leprosy did not leave. But as they're walking and going to show themselves to the priest, they already considered themselves healed. They were following the instructions, but it was along the way that the healing took place, right? And one went back and told Jesus, thank you. Okay. So I like to liken healing like to that. Now it happens differently for different people. So I'm not saying for everyone it is the same experience. It is not. But what I'm going to talk to you today about is what God is doing in this hour of healing and how important it is. Now, listen, do not get it twisted. I need y'all to understand some things. I'm not saying that I have perfected everything. I'm not saying that I figured it all out. But what I have figured out is what he's shown me, right? There are things that he's shown me. There are processes that he's taken me through. And there's some things that he's been saying to me, especially lately. As I talk to people, I discover that we have a lot of people who have soul wounds that are deep wounds that often go back to childhood, that we have not been able to recover from. It's trauma that we may have experienced in a variety of fashions, but we have not recovered from the trauma. We have gone through certain stages of the healing process, but we're not all the way there. And I'll tell you when you know that it's something that you are not totally healed from. When you talk about it and you tell the story, the emotions that you felt in that moment arise for you. If you're feeling the same emotions that you felt in that moment and you feel them like coming up, you're not healed in that area. That's something that you've not healed from. If you're healed, you can tell the story just like you're telling a story, period, without the emotion attached to it. So when I tell you all that there are areas where we are not fully healed. Why is this thing stuck? I'm sorry, y'all. I know it's sticking. Just bear with me. But when we tell the story and we still feel all those same emotions, we're not healed in that area. That's an area that God still has work that he wants to do on us in. Now, we can act healed. We can wear the t-shirt, I'm healed. We can declare I am healed, right? We can say it. We can wear the shirt. We can act like it. But until you deal with those deep wounds, then you are not walking in God's true healing. God's true healing is liberating, right? There's a liberty that comes from it. And God wants us to be healed. as I've been going through the loss of my father, his transition, as I've been going through the loss of my marriage, my divorce, like all of that has brought up things for me. It's triggered things for me. And these triggers are things and areas where I am not fully healed, right? And so what God is doing is he says, no, 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 this is your season for total healing. Okay, God, well, look, you got to do it because listen, some of this stuff is deep. I was having a conversation with my sister today, and we were talking about my brother's funeral and something that was said by the pastor who performed the ceremony that really, like, at 17, took me over the edge. I was ready to fight up in the church, y'all. Listen. And God began to minister to me and to show me how some of my wounds and some of the things that I feel about church and church people and about pastors, even though I am one, right, stems from what happened at that time, right? So I'm discovering stuff that I didn't even realize, okay, that's connected to this. It's almost like, I don't know if you guys have had this experience, but I remember when I read the Old Testament, I would read the Old Testament and it didn't make sense to me. It was like, this one begat that one, begat that one, begat that one, begat that one. I'd be like, what does it have to do with anything? Why is this important? Until I began to really get into the stories of the lives of the people. And then I went back to the lineage and I understood, wait a minute, hold up. This Rahab is the same Rahab that's in the lineage of Jesus. Or I began to connect the relationship between, people and how they came to be, Ruth and Boaz and Obed and David, and like how all of these people were related. And it's like, okay, this is why the genealogy is important. Why am I telling you this? God desires to heal you at your deepest level, in all the areas of your life where you have not been healed. He wants to heal you. He wants to heal you, and he wants to heal you so desperately that he will allow things and situations and people to come in your life to trigger things from the past so that you can deal with them and heal. It's not just to trigger you. It's not just to disrupt your world. It's not just to add something else to your plate. It's not that. If you see things coming up, if you see things, emotions and feelings and thoughts arising in your life that you thought that you were on the other side of, they're coming up because God wants to do a deep heal. He wants to take you under the surgeon's knife. My son just had his ACL repaired, and they had to put him under anesthesia, right? To repair his ACL, right? They could not do the work with a light sedative. They could not do it with a local anesthetic, right? They had to take him all the way under in order to perform the surgery because of the amount of pain associated with the surgery, right? So you need to understand that for some of you, the stuff that's happening in your life right now is not to take you out. It's to heal you. It's to bring you to a place of total and complete healing. If you don't believe me, right? If you don't believe me, I just want you to look at some things. I want you to check some things out, right? Okay? You ain't got to believe me. Check it out for yourself, okay? I want you to notice the things that have been coming up for you, the areas of challenge, the areas of struggle. And I want you to notice what triggers them. What triggered it? What triggered this particular thing in your life? What triggered this emotion? Go back to the earliest time you remember feeling that emotion or believing that thought or thinking that thought. And go back and see what happened. Who was there? What was the experience like? And see those connections. You'll discover that many of the things that you're dealing with right now are things that really are triggered from things in your past. But you got to go back to the past to find it. You got to pull that stuff forward and deal with it so that you can fully heal. So God wants to heal you. So if God wants to heal you, then what's the process? What you doing? Listen, you all, I need you to hear me, and I need you to hear me clearly. The things that have served as your foundation in the past, the things that have been your solace in the past, the coping mechanisms that have worked for you in the past, they will no longer work for you in the same way. What you used to be able to do to cover the pain, to minimize the pain, to make the pain, to dull the pain, to make the pain not so sharp, to not think about the pain will not work anymore. They're not going to work as effectively. They're not going to do what they used to do. It's going to be like when you take a particular medicine over time, how you become kind of immune to it. That's what it's going to be like. You guys got to understand this because it's going to help you to navigate this season. In this season, as God is healing you, your healing is attached to your harvest. Did y'all hear me? Your healing is attached to your harvest. As you heal, God is going to begin to release things to you. It's almost like his way of rewarding you for doing the work because it's difficult. Let me not say it's difficult. It challenges us because it requires us to do things that we may not be comfortable doing, to face things that we may not want to face, to address things and people that we may not want to address, and to deal with those parts of ourselves that we may not like. That's why this is so powerful. So I had a revelation today, and it really shook me to my core, right? Because it made me look at me. It's easy in the midst of everything that's going on in your life to look at everybody else and to look at their role in it, to see their part in it. It's more challenging when you got to look at you, right? So he was showing me some things, and he was showing me, but he was showing me in a situation that didn't involve me. It involved someone else. And I was getting angry at the stuff that was happening in this situation, but I've done the same things. So why am I mad? Why am I mad when I've done the same things? And it forced me to look at me, my actions, my choices, and really see them for what they were. It doesn't matter why I was in that place. The fact of the matter is I was in that place and this is how I behaved. The only way that you're going to get your promise, God has so much in store for us, but the only way you're going to get it is you're going to have to be willing to do the deep work. And that means just allowing yourself to be, giving yourself grace when you see the things that you don't like, affording that grace to others, and allowing God to do a healing work. And what he'll do is he's going to guide and direct you. It's one of the reasons that Coach Eric Shaw and I started our self-healing class, right? How to start your journey in self-healing. It's one of the reasons that we did that, because what we understand is, good morning, prophetess. Hey, Sean. Is that healing is probably the most difficult thing for us to do as people, because it feels comfortable. We get comfortable with our story. We get comfortable rehearsing our story, telling our story over and over again. We get comfortable in the role of the victim. We get comfortable. But the fact of the matter is this, that at some point you got to move beyond your victimhood. At some point you got to move beyond what your parents didn't do right. At some point you got to move beyond what your friend didn't do right, or what didn't work in your friendship, what didn't work in your relationship, whether it was, just a romantic relationship, a friendship relationship, dating relationship, marital relationship. You got to begin to move beyond that, but you can't move beyond that and move into your best until you face yourself, right? That's the true test. The true test is not how you show up as it relates to others. The true test is how do you show up when it comes to facing you? How do you deal with that, right? So it means that you got to humble yourself. You got to put your pride on the shelf. You got to, deal with your ego. You got to deal with all of that. All of those things are a part of the healing that God is going to do, right? It gets so much easier to hide behind. It gets so much easier to just not face the things that you don't want to face. But baby, we have to take ownership of what it is that we have in us, which is often rooted in these deep soul wounds that we have from childhood, from the early stages of our life. It may not have been our parents. It may have been a family member. It may have been somebody in school. It can come from a variety of places, right? But these deep wounds, these soul wounds, create traumas that if we don't address them, carry on throughout our lives and show up in a number of different ways. We got to deal with it. We have to deal with it. And God came so that we might deal with it. He says that we are seated with him in heavenly places. That's in our mind. It should be in our emotions. It should be in our actions. It should show up in us. And so when we see the stuff that doesn't look like that, that's not what's normal for us. That's what is abnormal that we've made normal. Did y'all get that? When we show up any way other than the way that God created us, that's not normal, even though we think it's normal because it's what we've always done. It's abnormal because it's not how we were created. Now, there are lots of things that you can do with things, but there's a difference between the original design and what you use it for. Just because you use it for something different doesn't change the original purpose of it. Just because you use it for something different, just because it can have a multiplicity of uses, just because you do that doesn't change what it was created for. The same is true with us. Come on now. Come on, prophetess. We've got to understand that what God is doing is a deep healing. This is, okay, let me show y'all the difference. There's a cleaning that we do, like our basic touch-up cleaning, right? We're going to run the vacuum, dust stuff off, maybe wipe things down. That's surface cleaning. That's surface cleaning, just the surface stuff, right? But when you do a deep clean, that's when you get the baseboards. That's when you clean the windows. That's when, you're washing the walls down. That's when you might steam clean. That's when come on now. Come on. You've got to get to the point where you allow God to do the deep healing work. But listen, when you start doing good, Artesia, I know that's right. When you start doing the deep healing work, guess what happens? You have deep conflicts. When you start doing deep healing work, you have deep conflicts. You may have major conflicts. You may have I'm telling you, stuff will just boom. It's almost like collisions, okay? And if you pay attention, because what God uses in our healing is other people. Can I say that again? When we're going through our healing, God doesn't wave a magic wand. We heal in conjunction with each other. That means that sometimes, like sandpaper, we rub each other wrong. That means that sometimes, like two cars on the same street with one lane, we may collide. When God is doing that deep healing, there will be people assigned to your life for that season for the healing to occur. And you're designed to, it's for both of you. It's not one way. See, we want to think that it's a one-way job. It's not a one-way street. It's a two-way street. God is trying to do something in both of you, right? He's trying to do something in both of you. But it's not comfortable. It's not pretty. It doesn't feel good. You don't like it. And if you're like me, I'm talking to people like me. What does that mean, Dr. V? Stubborn, rebellious. Don't touch my pride. Did you hit my ego? Come on. So when those things happen, I shut down. I'm going to shut down. I'm going to pull back. Right? You ain't got to worry about me. I'm good. To the side. The problem with that is it's a defense mechanism. It's a defense mechanism. We're trying to protect the little girl, the little boy in us. That's what's happening. We're trying to protect ourselves. But you're not that little girl. You're not that little boy anymore. You're a whole grown behind man and woman. So why are you running and hiding instead of facing and dealing? That doesn't mean that relationships don't end, that they don't change. But what I'm telling you is how you do it does. How you do it should change. And if it's not changing, that's a problem. But we've got to be in a place where we're willing to do the work. That's the hard part. I won't say hard, I'll say challenging. It challenges us because it takes us out of what we've considered normal for us. Y'all, so much of our normal is not normal. So much of our normal is abnormal. And we've got to acknowledge that, and we got to get that, and then we got to start making adjustments in that. So my challenge to you today is let God do what it is that he desires to do in your life and know that he's got you in the midst of it. So face your stuff, deal with it, and move forward. Have the conversations you need to have, do the stuff you need to do. Handle your business like a big girl, like a big boy, and move forward. Life is too short to do anything else. So when God says that this is a season of healing, deep healing, that means that you can expect some stuff to come up. Don't act like you don't see it. Don't try to whitewash it. Don't try to use those coping mechanisms that you've always used to deal with stuff. No, this is the time for you to face some stuff head on, deal with it, and move forward. I promise you, God's got you. God's got you. And you're going to be just fine. You're going to be just fine. Watch what he does. Watch what he does as you man up and woman up. Watch what he does. Watch how he moves. Watch how he restores you. This is redemption season. How can he redeem you fully if you won't let him heal you fully? Come on, y'all. Let's get healed, redeemed, restored. Our healing is attached to our harvest. So let's heal so we can experience the harvest. Because if you don't heal before you get the harvest will go to waste. So let's heal, get our harvest, serve God, do what he says, show up, love folks, and let God be God. Listen, you guys, I love you guys to life and life more abundant. Have an absolutely amazing, incredible, and epic day. And know that your best days are ahead of you and your worst days are behind you. Let's get it. Be blessed. Mwah.